poor video is rendering out 4K videos at 0.25, my poor computer, sorry, 0.25 speed. It's chugging. I also could never be bothered to move the date. So the date is being put in the same place it would be on a 1080p video. So it just looks really small, it's in the middle of a 4K one. So it turns out all of that testing that I did about testing the video footage to make sure that I could make 4K videos and 1080p videos and 2.7K videos, all of that testing, I never thought if I could make a hyperlapse video. So there's a setting inside the camera where it will do what it calls a super speed something, where basically like you can record X amount of time and it fast forwards it and it like stabilizes it all and it looks like a hyperlapse. Turns out that my video rendering script does not like those. It spits them out in interesting ways and just like chews up the files basically. So I've taken them out. I only had 2 of them, but they were good. God damn it. Obviously, I'm in a position where I'm trying to save money. Now, we should have what we're jokingly calling a spending ban. But I am starting to think that maybe I should at least have the option of being able to manually edit a video. Even if it is just a case of drag the files into a video editor, click export. For the scenarios where I want to do something a little bit different, because there are a load of features on this camera. I mean, I could do 4K fine. What I need to do is stop being lazy and actually calculate where that where the day text should be, rather than just kind of fucking smash it in the same place as the 1080p. I feel like I should have at least a video editor lying around just in case I need to make a video that's different. But spending ban means no dice. Otherwise, today has just been a chipping around day. It's Friday today, we're off today, and we're obviously off at the weekend. It's quite nice to have like a couple of days to get on top of things. So like there's a couple of stuff we've got that we needed to renew, / get comparisons on and change providers. That was all due around now. What else have we done? We've been like sorting out obviously all of the packing, all the washing. We've got an airer outside because our clothesline doesn't have enough space on it to do all of the washing we've generated while we're on holiday. Laura's doing some gardening. I'm doing videos, and now I've got to re-render a video, which is really annoying because it takes fucking ages to do 4K videos. But yeah, maybe I'll just check. To be fair, Premiere Elements and Photoshop Elements are relatively cheap. Yeah, 130 quid from Adobe themselves. So if I ever need to, I can do it. And it's 60 from Amazon, so 68. Not bad for just one of them anyway. 74 for Premiere. Interesting. Yeah, it's just something that it's annoying having a camera that I can do things with. But then how often do I ever do them? It's just knowing that I can't is the irritating thing. And it's just like not having the ability to like take a shot and just edit it in a slightly different way. I mean, it's super ideal being able to just click a button and it just generate a fucking video off the back. Like I've literally got sometimes. So it's off now, just rendering out a video, which is really fucking dope because I didn't have to do any work to do that. But yeah, it's just mildly annoying. Because I was going to go on the longboard tomorrow, and that's a good opportunity to do one. Sometimes, but I can't justify spending 80 quid on something that I can just kick this up with. To be honest with you, I'm contemplating something that I'm trying to do over the next couple of weeks is figure out what I need to do and when I need to do it for when I leave my job. And I'm trying to figure out how much of a role my social media can take in this world. Because obviously Twitter and LinkedIn, there's quite a heavy overlap there. I can leverage those platforms. But I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's wise or clever or advisable, let's say, I don't know, to utilize YouTube. Because when thinking about it, like a lot of brands, a lot of firms push towards social media, and I'm kind of already in social media a little bit. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near any kind of size, but like I know how to do it, you know? I'm trying to figure out whether or not there's space, I'm assuming not in the daily vlogs, to use these videos, but I have no way of making a video otherwise because I don't have any editing software. I with like my other cameras and stuff. So I can't make an old school main channel video, you know? Laura and I are in a bit of a race today. I apologise because the wind noise is going to be atrocious, but she is busting into town to get a haircut. I am longboarding in and longboarding out to get lunch. I would get the bus, but it'll cost me money. This doesn't. Well, it does. I've got to charge it, but I haven't been on a longboard in a long time, so you can't hear a word I'm saying, can you? My man. The problem is, it's been a while, so I'm not as confident as I used to be. And the last skateboard I'm used to is my penny board, which is a lot shorter. So, I've got to go, I'm in fast mode here because I've got to cross this road, so let's try not to wobble. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here and the food market's on, so we don't have to go to prep. Happy days. Look, I know we've got a spending ban, this is allowed. I realise I've been wearing a lot of blue recently. Basically, in all of my last videos, I've been wearing blue. Because my pyjama t-shirts are blue in the 2 pairs of pyjamas that I've been wearing recently. Having said that, all of my pyjamas, all of the tops I have with my pyjamas are just tops that I would wear normally. Like, there's no reason why this top hasn't been delegated to a pyjama top. But anyway, that's by the way. We ended up going to the food market and getting, what are they called? Tamales? Tamales? It was like a Mexican thing. The tamale, whatever it was, I think it's a tamale, wasn't actually that nice, but the rest of the stuff there was really nice, so that's cool. And then I longboarded back up the path. The path is now way smoother than it used to be, like all the bits where it was a bit squirrely under your street wheel feet. It's all been like retarmacked over now, so it was a blast down and a blast black, and it only took me about 20 to 25 minutes at a general cruise, which is useful because if it's dry in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to need to know that. Otherwise, I came back. I have been, to be honest with you, farting around a little bit, catching up on YouTube videos. The problem with going away, I'm just trying to open a bottle here with one hand, and it's not working out for me. The biggest problem with like going away and coming back, and kind of, we had internet on holiday, and to be honest with you, it's kind of disappointing. Depressing, seeing how many people are just around the pool permanently on their phone because they've got internet and 4G and what have you. But anyway, so we had Wi-Fi, we had 4G. I watched a couple of YouTube videos while I was away, like while we're getting ready and stuff, all the smaller ones in general. But you come back and you just got so many to watch, and you just end up down this rabbit hole of videos that you want to watch. And that's basically where I've been. I've been in that rabbit hole. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to figure out basically a roadmap plan for all the things that I want to do over the next couple of weeks, because at some point I'm going to be doing this shit all day, and I need to make sure that I'm ready to do that basically. So I'm not really going to do much programming, but I have an idea. I've had a couple of ideas for some blogs. I need to get on top of writing blogs. I need to get on top of writing talks. So I want to write a talk about microservices and what about test-driven development, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that in a cool way. So I'm just kind of faffing with stuff really, but I need to figure out what I need to get done by the time I have nothing else to do to distract me. And I'm thinking this week I'm going to go back to work and whatnot. We've got a wedding to go to next weekend, and then I'm probably going to jump into my sleeping pattern for the remaining 4.5 weeks. And do you know what it is that makes me feel unproductive? It's not having glasses on. So let's put my glasses on and then I'll be productive. It's not been my couple of days, ladies and gentlemen. Since coming back from holiday, I've vlogged about as much as I did on holiday, and I never vlog on holiday. And I've not really done any, like literally any work actually. In fairness, that's a bit of a lie. I've been prepping a presentation. I haven't really got the presentation, but I've got notes for it. I'll do. It's not too bad. So that's going all right. But otherwise, just been a bit like on the down low, you know, just been a bit like chill, which is all right. I think, to be honest with you, it's because I've not gone back to work yet. Going back to work tomorrow, so I think that will then start to ramp me up into everything else that I do. You can fall into a pit of like planning for stuff when it's not programming, you know? To be fair, you can fall into it with programming as well, but when you're programming, you're actually doing stuff. But like, is planning a presentation work? You have to get around figuring that kind of shit out, aren't I, at some point? But yeah, is figuring that kind of shit out work? Probably not. Who knows? Right. Otherwise, though, I am about to head off to bed because I've got to get up early because I've got to go to work. I've had such a great 2 weeks off. God damn it. We spend most of our day today out walking, a different type of W. We went out for a nice long walk, just around locally. We were going to drive out somewhere and then do a walk around like some villages and stuff. We were like, okay, should we just go for a walk around here? We did like a 6-mile-old trek around basically where we used to walk, which is a lot further away than it used to be. And it was goddamn warm. God damn it. We regretted the decision halfway around, let's put it that way. But yeah, I am gonna brush my teeth, go to bed. I'm gonna go into my office, turn my computer on, because I've been uploading the holiday vlogs, but they're 4K, basically raw footage straight from the GoPro, because my fucking video editor doesn't do any compression for me. So I am going to go and do that, make sure that's uploaded, and if it's not, sit around and wait for it. I'm going to get my laptop prepped so that I've got all the latest stuff, because a lot of the things I'm doing now, I haven't done any code this weekend, but I've done a load of stuff in Google Drive, so I just want to make sure that's all downloaded and ready to go on my laptop, just in case I decide to do that, some stuff at work tomorrow. Maybe, you never know. Oh, here we go, boys, back into work. This is, forgot how fun this was. Today will be fine. I've literally no idea what I'm doing today. I have to catch up on like 2 weeks worth of work emails and work Slack communications to figure out what's going on. I know I need to do some investigation into a project that is like entirely C# based, so if they don't do it while I'm there, then they'll never get it done. But I wasn't really doing much before I left on holiday on that project, and I think the next project is again quite not me based, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, especially not today, because I think we have to start the newest project today because we need a certain amount of time to do it in for regulation reasons. So I think they either finished the previous project or they stopped it. My bet is they stopped it because they didn't have enough time, but we'll see. Not a bad day, nothing burnt down while I was away, which means I've done a good job. I've been investigating 3 things at the same time though. I've got 3 hats spinning, but I've hoovered up. They're on the tail end of the last project, which I don't have much to do on. So I've hoovered up, starting to refine the next batch of tickets for the next project. I'm trying to like chip it in a way that's a bit more agile. It's a bit more piecemeal. It's a EU regulation thing, so all of the API services that we're integrating with that are implementing this regulation, we need to make sure that we give them the data that they need, basically. So I've been going through them, figuring out which one we should do first, how difficult it's going to be, which is the one that poses the least risk, and all that kind of shit. It's not going to be scary, to be honest with you. It's going to be a trivial job. Next project is also going to be a project where my expertise isn't particularly necessary, so that should leave me some space to tidy up some of the stuff on the project that I initially did when I first got there, because there's some new stuff that they want, ironically, because they're killing it. It wasn't designed to be killed, and now it's going to be killed, so I need to make it killable, basically, I think. You know what? Outside this car, it's not actually hot. It's almost in a t-shirt, cool. Fuck me, is it hot in this car though? God damn, man. So I'm getting back on some programming stuff. I was in the middle of refactoring my repositories and the way that I store data in Mongo before I went on holiday, and I'm just tidying that up. I've done everything except for the internal repository. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So at some points, basically, when I first designed this platform, and this microservice in particular, I decided that the scenarios where I wanted the user to be able to do stuff, you would have to be logged in. And the only way that you can get a very specific ID that's like logged against all of your stuff is by being a logged in authenticated user. You can't pass it in via the API, you can't do anything like that. The problem with that being that, so I then decided that I don't need to know, like, there isn't always going to be a user that kicks off the backend processes. And I'm rubber ducking here a little bit. So, for example, if a third-party service that you've connected to tells me about something, it doesn't know your party ID. It doesn't know who you are on my platform. It just knows that something happened to something that it cares about. And so I introduced what I called an internal repository, which I wanted to only be used by processors that were internal only. That way, you couldn't accidentally allow access to data without providing a party ID to an external API. Internal message bus processors are separated out and they have their own version of the repository which doesn't require the party ID. It's identical in every single way except it doesn't require that ID. So that was like kind of messy. It worked, but it was kind of messy. I had two repositories effectively that were wrapping the same database with two different access layers. And it got annoying because I'd have a read-only version and a write version, and then I'd make sure that I wasn't doing writes when I shouldn't be doing writes with unit tests and all that kind of shit. All that good stuff. But now I've separated it out into multiple different database structures because it didn't make sense to put all the data in the same collection in Mongo. Because of that, I've now basically introduced more repositories. It's a lot cleaner. I introduced one repository and then it implements multiple interfaces which then allow you to get the data out. But now, to do a separate internal one, I'd have to reintroduce a class and 3 interfaces for each internal database that I want. And I feel like that's a lot. And I'm trying to figure out if I could just get rid of the idea of having an internal one separately and just put it all on the same interface and then effectively have just 2 different methods, one of which enforces a party ID and one of which doesn't. And then use a different process, for example, code reviews, to stop you accidentally querying data when you're not allowed to query that data. This isn't something that's usually a problem for people. Usually they don't have this kind of thing, but I kind of wanted to have this kind of extra layer where no API could access something without being signed in. And then I could set up code rules, so effectively you couldn't even compile these things without having access to this. But it does complicate things because CQ, I'm going to get rid of it. I've decided. Because I've just decided in my head while talking to you. The problem is that I have multiple, I do CQRS in my domain, and I have command handlers that are based around what it is it's doing actions on, which is kind of the repository. It's not quite one-to-one, but similar. I don't have an internal command handler, an external command handler, and all that kind of shit. So the problem I have is some command handlers will have the internal one and the external one introduced. Maybe that's where I need the internal split, is on the command handler rather than the repository level. And then the repository just has, hey, you can pass to me via party ID, you can give me just the ID, or you can give me both. And then you use code reviews to force one or the other. Do we go like that? Or do we separate it out and then we know? I think I'm going to slap it onto the same thing. I think I'm over-engineering it for something that a pretty trivial manual process will catch issues with. I changed the battery on this camera. I'm about to do dinner, which is why I walked downstairs and I thought I'd rub a duck to you for a little bit. To be honest with you, I think I kind of had this discussion with myself before I went on holiday, but I had to re-familiarise myself with everything I was doing. So I think I'm going to get rid of the idea of having an internal jobber and potentially look at moving out the command handlers. If I'm going to move out the command handlers into internal ones and non-internal ones, and then you could say that APIs can't call, but they don't know what the command handler is. I just step away from this. It's not necessary. It's not important. It's not necessary. Short answer is, what I'm going to go with, stop overcomplicating it, put it all on the same code repository, and then put it all on the same repository, and then use common sense to enforce which ones you're allowed to and not allowed to call. Okay, right, that solves that. It solves me also, that solves a few things, to be fair. Let's do that. This was a bad idea to start with, Jimmy. You know it. My to-do list today covers fixing up and finishing this repository refactor stuff. taken a little bit longer than I wanted it to, and it's, well, only because of, well, it hasn't. It's taken me about 5, well, in total it's going to take me about 7 hours, ish, which isn't too bad. But I want to get it done today because it's blocking the other things that I want to do, which makes it difficult, because you know how previously I had it so that on my laptop I was doing some things and on my desktop I was doing other things. This is kind of like put a nail in the middle of that, because this thing needs to be done before I really start the next stuff, because of the whole reason I'm doing it is because not doing it was blocking new stuff I wanted to do anyway. So anyway, so my to-do list finished today. Trying to get into the habit again of populating a to-do list and finishing it, and actually putting things on there that are manageable and doable in a day, which is what I normally miss out on. I either don't commit to something, or I commit to something way too big and then get moralized, you know. Today we've got a lot of investigation to do. I need to investigate adding new features to that one thing, investigate this bug thing that's not really a bug, infrastructure issue where we seem to have 2 versions of the app running at the same time, but because the newest one's running it doesn't matter, and then more documentation reading for new third-party stuff that we're going to integrate with. It's going to be dope. I feel like there's some kind of really cruel, sick irony in the fact that I'm at work with a laptop that doesn't have a USB-C port, surrounded by USB-C port dongles, trying to get one for micro DisplayPort, and like Microsoft were like, USB-C isn't ready, we're going to stick with micro DisplayPort, and now look at me. I'm like, I can't plug into a monitor on my laptop because there isn't a dongle around, and it's basically USB-C's fault. That's some fucking irony. I'm gonna go investigate options. I think I have a DisplayPort to HDMI cable at home, but I'm not sure it's very good quality, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to need a dongle at some point to go from micro DisplayPort to HDMI female, so I might have to Amazon that, see how much money it is, because like places like my offices, for example, they're all obviously HDMI ports, so we'll see. I mean, the ideal one is a dock, obviously, but for my Surface, but they are bloody expensive, and I can't justify that. But I can justify a £5 dongle from Amazon. I'm just going to see how expensive it is in Currys. To be honest, I think it's £15. Yeah, so I don't think I could justify that. So otherwise, we're going to go there, and then failing that, we're going to go look at some rabbits in the pet shop, and then go back to the office because I am bored shitless today. Just put my order in on Amazon. That spending ban lasts a long time, doesn't it? It's only a £5. And I need it to really simplify plugging it in at work, and it will simplify using the office in my virtual office, you know, since there are monitors and stuff there, but they are more than likely HDMI. I've never sat at one with a monitor, in fairness. So I bought the dongle and then realised that it might not help me at work anyway, because my monitor accepts DisplayPort, not HDMI. So I'd need a mini DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable adapter thing. Ugh. However, I've solved my problem. I've found a DisplayPort to DisplayPort connector, which I can connect my desktop to the monitors, and then I've found a DVI to DVI cable and a DVI to micro DisplayPort adapter. Boom. And now I just have a £5 dongle that I will no doubt use at some point in my life. To be fair, I could cancel that. Should I cancel it? What are the chances of me actually using that dongle at my virtual office, and or have I been using that just to justify buying it and taking it to work? If it was a valid backup plan, I think I'd carry on buying it, but I'll cancel the order. Thank you very much, Amazon, but no thank you. So I missed everything that was on my to-do list. That isn't good. It's technically the next day. I'm cheating the video so that you can't see that. If I don't fuck around with it, it'll put the date in the bottom left, and I can't do that. Fuck up my daily vlog script. So I've got the refactor done. It now compiles and it runs, but I'm struggling to. I was just running I ran a test through to figure out what was going on with it, and it didn't. And well, for one, it can't read the data in the database. So I migrated all the data. It's not pulling the data out properly. I'll try and figure out why that is. That shouldn't be too bad. But I entered down a rabbit hole of Service Fabric not acting the way I was expecting it to act. It was continually retrying, as if like something in the pipeline was changing the result it was kicking back. It turns out it only does that so far that I've seen when it's a not found response, which kind of makes sense, kind of, but also kind of not. So I need to rabbit hole of things I need to investigate. While doing that, I updated some Nougat packages and updated some stuff. To be honest with you, well, I've got no proof of that, but it did a Windows update, and that's what made me think Service Fabric. Windows, yeah, I've had issues before with a Windows update, bulking Service Fabric. It's like the dev installs of it, it's not ideal. But so I got all that running, and then it was kicking back this weird response, slash not kicking back a response at all, because it was like continually retrying. And I'm just trying to figure out what's going on there. Oh, and while I was debugging that, I updated a load of Nougat packages and then discovered, well, not an issue, but a change in the way that Automapper works, a breaking change in Mediator, which changes one of the Nougat packages I've got. Fun. I almost thought there was a problem with NSubstitute, but turns out it is Automapper. I'm having a hoot, to be quite frank. But yeah, so fun one. I need to go to bed. I said I was going to have an early night tonight, so I'm going to end the video here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you later.